and welcome to our Cambridge International AS and A-Level IT Resources Walkthrough webinar. I'm Tamsin Hart from Cambridge University Press and Assessment, and I'll be hosting this webinar for our speaker, Carys Morley. Thank you for joining us today. I can see we have lots of you joining the session now, and it's great to see you all here today. I'd now like to hand over to our speaker, Carys Morley, to take you through the new edition of our Cambridge International AS and A-Level IT series.
Thank you very much, Tamsin. And thank you all so much for taking the time to attend today's webinar. I'll just start by introducing myself. My name is Carys Morley, and I am the Commissioning Editor for Science and Technology Resources at Cambridge. This means I work on our course books, workbooks, teachers' resources, and more from beginning to end. This includes researching teacher needs and wants, and designing our books to meet those needs. I work closely with authors and editors to deliver the books to meet those needs. I don't have any involvement in syllabuses, however, so I won't be talking in too much detail about the syllabus today. I'm also a teacher, and I'm currently tutoring quite small groups of GCSE and A-level students, and I have 10 years of experience in publishing for academic and educational textbooks and journals. I'm also a very keen reader and writer, and an amateur gardener, I think is fair to say. So today I'll be talking to you about what our new resource suite for AS and A-Level IT contains, and how our suite has been updated since the second edition. I'll also briefly summarise the syllabus changes to the AS and A-Level IT syllabus, syllabus code 9626, and how we have updated our resources to cater for those changes. I'll also give you a tour of all of our new resources to see the changes in action, and then we'll also have time at the end for some questions, as Tamsin said. Just as a reminder, I'm not part of the syllabus team, so I won't be able to take any questions on the syllabus or examinations specifically. Please speak to Cambridge International for syllabus queries or queries pertaining to the exam. Our new resource suite still contains a workbook, a course book, and a teacher's resource. In this new resource suite, however, we've made all of the necessary amendments to fully cover the new syllabus for first examination 2025. We've also bolstered syllabus coverage of old learning objectives where necessary. We fully reworked the programming for the web topic at the end of the syllabus to make it more engaging and accessible for learners as a result of your feedback. We received a lot of other really helpful feedback when speaking to you as teachers, and based on that feedback, we've also doubled the amount of activities within the book to boost engagement and active learning opportunities. We now also differentiate between unplugged activities, regular activities, and practical activities, which I'll explain in a bit more detail shortly. The book structure now also more directly reflects the structure of the syllabus, and we've defined more key terms throughout the coursebook and workbook to help EAL learners grasp subject terminology. We've added more images and visual references to aid understanding of complex concepts, again to help our EAL learners grasp more demanding content. More questions have been written and included, and there's now a project at the end of every unit for formative assessment opportunities. And finally, we've introduced a myriad of engagement features to contextualise IT and make it just a bit more exciting in the classroom and to facilitate critical thinking opportunities. I'll go through all of these features in a bit more detail when I get to the coursebook walkthrough section of this presentation. So just as a reminder, our coursebook is where you'll find all of the course content. All of the learning objectives from the syllabus are covered here, so it contains everything you and your learners need to be successful in A-Level IT. It's fully endorsed by Cambridge International, so you can be confident that everything contained within the book is what CI are expecting. Our course books, as well as providing all of the knowledge needed by learners, contains activities, exam-style practice questions, formative assessment projects, and much more. Practical Skills Workbook covers practical chapters only, such as 8, which is spreadsheets, and 21, which is programming for the web. It doesn't fully cover the syllabus, but it is endorsed for learner support. It's useful for homework, lessons, or independent practice for those wishing to improve on their practical skills. Our teacher's resource provides support for using our coursebook and on the Cambridge approach, and support for delivering the course. It includes worksheets, lesson ideas, homework and assessment ideas, syllabus alignment grids, and a lot more. It's endorsed for teacher support and helps you plan and execute lessons. It is digital only. I'll just move on to summarising the new syllabus. So the biggest change is that there's a new topic 17, which is data visualization and analysis. This essentially combines the skills taught in the AS half of the chapters to demonstrate that learners are able to integrate knowledge of different elements of IT and produce something new using that knowledge and skills. It's a project-based unit where the output is measured in ability to visualize and analyze data rather than any new knowledge. A fair few learning objectives have been removed. Just as a really brief example, section 8.4 of the syllabus, which was automate operations within a spreadsheet, has been removed. Similarly, many learning objectives and required knowledge within learning objectives have been added. For example, 10.1 composite key has now been added as an example under function of key fields. However, it's important to note that the overall focus and purpose of the topics has not changed. There have just been some small amendments to what is required knowledge within those topics. Some topics have been reordered slightly, but otherwise remain unchanged. And just to confirm, there is no change to the assessment model. So we've reflected all of these changes in our resources. First, all three components have a new chapter, 17, Data Visualization and Analysis, which covers the learning objectives required of this topic in the syllabus. To reflect the removed and added learning objectives, we've removed and added content from all of our resources where required to fully cover all required learning objectives. And finally, our resources fully reflect the structure and order of the revised syllabus, with very few exceptions where we felt it made sense or was easier to teach, but these exceptions are very few and far between. I'm just going to give you a little walkthrough of our new coursebook features. So I'll just be flicking through a few screenshots of some of the pages while I speak to this slide. So as mentioned, we've not only made changes to reflect the new syllabus, we've also added some new features, performative assessment, enhanced active learning, engagement, and to aid EAL learners with complex or challenging concepts and terminology. We've tried to make the book as visually stimulating as possible and have changed or added many examples that learners can relate to, straying away where possible from more abstract or dry examples. This is all in service of making IT a more interesting, grounded and less abstract subject that learners can comfortably apply to their everyday lives and find relevant. In our previous edition, we had only one activity feature, simply named Activity. This covered a really broad range of activity types. We felt and heard that it would be more beneficial to separate out activity types so that you can pick which kind of activity is most relevant or easiest to facilitate in your classroom more easily. The first type of activity is an unplugged activity. These don't require a device of any kind. The pedagogical purpose behind these activities is that learners should be able to recall IT knowledge and concepts away from the actual device. For example, they should be able to explain what Bluetooth is and how it works without using Bluetooth or searching on the internet. Unplugged activities are designed for knowledge consolidation, recall, and group work, making sure that learners are exercising their ability to communicate about IT away from devices and ensuring that their knowledge of theory is sound. Practical activities, found only in the practical chapters, teach learners step by step how to do something new. It provides really specific instructions as to what buttons to press to get a desired result. For example, it will walk learners through how to create a graphic or a pivot table in a spreadsheet. And finally, activities require a device. There are two types of activity, really. One that requires a device to practice a skill that isn't necessarily relevant to the content. For example, an activity might be to make a presentation about AI. This allows them to practice their PowerPoint skills, although that isn't directly relevant to AI. Second type of activity allows learners to practice a skill they've learned. These usually follow a practical activity. The purpose here is that the learner is taught how to do something in a practical activity and then asked to do it again in a new context by themselves without specific instructions in an activity. You can therefore scan through the course book looking for an activity type that suits your needs. For example, if your learners are struggling with spreadsheets, in particular, say, VLOOKUPs, there'll be a practical activity that walks them through how to do a VLOOKUP. If they're struggling to remember terminology, there might be an unplugged activity that gives them an opportunity to learn and recall spreadsheet-related terminology. Finally, if they understand the instructions for a VLOOKUP but need further practice, there'll be an activity to give them that opportunity. Our new edition also includes enhanced opportunities for formative assessment. Our questions feature has been expanded, so we now have over 100 new questions within the resource. These are knowledge recall questions and not practice questions. It's important to note there. We've also introduced a project feature at the end of every topic. The purpose of the project is to consolidate knowledge from across the topic and ask learners to produce a piece of work that reflects everything they have learned during the topic. Guidance for how to set up your classroom and how to assess these projects can be found in the teacher's resource. And finally, we of course have exam-style practice questions at the end of every topic, which have been fully updated to match all of the content in the new syllabus. We've also added some new features to encourage discussion, critical thinking, and engagement in the IT classroom. Our Did You Know feature provides interesting facts about IT and computing and how it relates to real life. For example, the one on the slide here is about the Caesar cipher, providing an interesting historical fact that is related to encryption. These aren't always historical facts, but can be interesting facts that don't appear in the syllabus. For example, how many mobile phones there currently are in the world, or how much computing waste is generated every year. Tips provide learners prompts or ideas for how to study, revise, or remember concepts, or suggestions for how to approach a task or activity. Reflections encourage learners to consider how they learn, to think about how they might learn better in the future. This is also really helpful for revising or studying. Discussion points encourage learners to discuss controversial or interesting computing concepts as a class, employing critical thinking skills and creating a lively debate, which will help them discover their thoughts and feelings about things such as AI and digital currencies, giving them a space to develop and articulate this. Although the features I just discussed are just a few of the ones available in our course book, which of course includes all of the features from the previous editions, such as keyword definitions, worked examples, learning intention, summary checklists, and everything else, I'm now just going to move on to a quick walkthrough of our workbook. As before, there'll just be some screenshots of the workbook I'll quickly flick through as I speak. The purpose of the workbook is to provide practice opportunities for learners for the practical chapters only. For example, Chapter 8, which is spreadsheets, or the new Chapter 17, data visualization and analysis. The workbook provides a worked example at the beginning of each chapter, which reminds learners of how to perform a particular action, and then provides a series of tasks with instructions so they can practice the action or concept. It's most often used for independent practice, but it can be used for lessons in the classroom or as homework. Each chapter of the workbook opens with a worked example. Worked examples do not have output, meaning that students don't need to do anything except read the example. Then each chapter has a series of tasks which enable practice of particular skills. The skills that each task utilises are listed at the beginning of each task, so learners can target the skills they're least confident with. Integrated within the tasks are tips, which provide hints and suggestions as to how to approach the tasks, and keywords, which are the same as the keywords found in the course book, but mean that learners don't need to look at two books at once when doing the tasks. Reflections appear at the end of every chapter to encourage learners to consider how they approach the task, how they learn best, and how they might improve in the future, which is really important for independent practice. And for the final part of my presentation, I'll just provide a quick look at our teacher's resource. Our TRs contain a real myriad of support, including support on the Cambridge approach, support on lesson planning, and materials to use in the classroom, such as worksheets. Part of our TRs are the hundreds of lesson and homework ideas provided for each chapter. The teacher's resource structure mirrors that of the coursebook, so you can easily correlate the coursebook content with the TR content. Teacher's resource also includes guidance on how to deliver projects from the coursebook in the classroom and how to assess these projects. For this new edition, we provided new worksheets. So we now have nearly 100 worksheets in our teacher's resource. These can be printed out or distributed in the classroom, given to learners as homework, or used as formative assessment. They're provided as Word documents and as PDFs, so you can edit them to suit the needs of your classroom if required. We've bolstered the answers for the worksheet so that every worksheet that does require an answer now has the most comprehensive set of answers possible. Our teacher's resource includes a bunch of teaching support, including schemes of work, which show you where each learning objective is covered across all three books, syllabus correlation grids, learning intentions and success criteria, lists of keywords so you have access to the same definitions as your learners, common misconceptions which help you to identify any errors in learners' understanding of a topic before delving in and help you to overcome them. Similarly, a background knowledge box is present at the beginning of every chapter so you can prepare both yourself and your learners for the new topic. Project support notes relate to the projects found at the end of every chapter in the coursebook and give you advice on how to facilitate the projects in the classroom and provide assessment criteria should you wish to use the projects as formative assessment. And finally, as mentioned, the heart of our teachers' resource really is the comprehensive bank of lesson ideas. We split these into starter ideas, main activities, plenary ideas, homework ideas, and assessment ideas. We also provide differentiation suggestions for main activities where applicable. Using this bank, you can design a custom lesson that works for the needs of your learners and your classroom capabilities. Our lesson planning template can be used by populating which lesson ideas you want to use in combination with any of our other resources. The teacher's resource allows you to teach flexibly while still offering you the convenience of pre-prepared lessons, worksheets, and support. So as I wrap up the presentation, I'd just like to summarise the key things that you should take away from today, or I hope you'll take away from today. First is that this new series is explicitly designed based on teacher feedback to meet expressed needs. We have a variety of activities across our suite to enable flexibility in the classroom. Our new resources are designed to engage, excite, be relevant, and bring IT into the real world for our learners. Our suite is flexible to suit a variety of learners, teachers, and classroom setups. And finally, we are fully endorsed for the new syllabus.
Thank you so much, Carys, for taking us through all of those updates and for sharing a first look inside the resources. Thank you so much, everyone, for your thoughts and questions and feedback. It's been brilliant to see that coming through. So good luck with your teaching and goodbye.